en el periodismo, en la política, en el gobierno, ¿no? Y en el empresariado, y es verdaderamente lamentable. Lorenzo Córdoba fue catapultado en los programas de Carmen Aristegui desde hace ya varios años. Obtiene, miren, obviamente no dudamos de su academia, ¿no? Pues claro que ha estudiado en las mejores escuelas, ¿no? No sé si haya estudiado incluso en el extranjero, pero eso no lo dudamos, es doctor, pero la verdad, la verdad es que cualquier persona que sea racista o que discrimine, pues es un pinche ignorante, ¿no? Por muchos títulos que tenga, el personaje es muy pinche ignorante, ¿no? Esa es la realidad. Y este señor, pues representa todo eso. Representa a esa élite, a esa esfera terrible de poder que pone a sus hijitos o hijitas siempre en los mejores puestos para que vivan a costa de los mexicanos. Le decía, a Lorenzo Córdoba lo catapultan en los espacios de Carmen Aristegui hace ya varios años. Se convierte en consejero electoral. Después se convierte en consejero presidente del INE, a pesar de los pesares, a pesar de ya haber incurrido en una situación cuestionable, como cuando le tocó como consejero investigar los excesos de gasto de campaña de Enrique Peña Nieto. Algo que incluso al plantear sus hallazgos, se burlaba de decir, claro que no hay exceso de campaña con nuestros amigos del PRI, casi casi dicen nuestros amigos del PRI, ¿no? Muy desdichado. Así lo planteaba. Y hoy, pues eso está a cuestión, puesto que se da a conocer que Odebrecht, en efecto, dio millones de dólares en sobornos a la campaña de Enrique Peña Nieto, ¿no? Pero bueno, es otra cosa. Este sujeto termina siendo consejero presidente del INE, lo cachan hablando así, como se lo va a presentar don David en unos momentos más, y se mantiene como el consejero presidente con una serie de privilegios durante muchos años. Muchos años. Yo creo que no se lo olvide usted. Todo lo que usted le pagó, usted que nos ve y que nos escucha, usted se lo pagó. No le hace que viva acá en Estados Unidos. El dinero que usted le mandó a su familia para construir su casa, para ayudar a los chiquillos, para que tengan los niños libros, para que tengan las mochilas listas, el dinero que le mandó a su mamá para que pues pueda ahí salir adelante, a su papá que ya es un adulto mayor. Ese dinero, parte de ese dinero, se utilizó para pagarle una vida de rey a Lorenzo Córdoba, a Ciro Murayama y todavía a Porfirito, Edmundo Jacobo. Parte de ese dinero que usted, que vive allá en México, gana con el sudor de su frente, y pues sirvió para que este cuate pudiera tener una tintorería lista, la lavandería lista, un coche último modelo que lo trasladara de aquí para allá con chofer, comidas así despampanantes, ¿no? Para que pudiera ahí comer lo mejor de lo mejor, para que pudiera hacer viajes por el mundo, para que pudiera tener achichincles que lo trataran de verdad como un príncipe, ¿qué digo? Como un príncipe, como un rey emperador. A este señor que se burló y ofendió a todos los mexicanos, así.
Señor presidente, a tus órdenes.
Perdóname, ¿puedes hablar?
Sí, dime, ¿me está escuchando?
Nada, en camino ya al hotel, ya hice mis trámites, ya les di asesoría a los de los pueblos indígenas, cabrón.
Eso, carajo.
No, mames, cabrón. No, hay que escribir, ¿te acuerdas? O sea, de veras, unas crónicas marcianas desde el INE, cabrón.
Sí. No, siempre el nuevo Ray Bradbury Ray.
No, exacto. Ray Bradbury Reloaded. No, mami, es que desde las dramáticas reuniones con los padres de Ayotzinapa hasta esto, cabrón, que es, a ver, güey, había no voy a mentir, te lo voy a decir como hablaba ese cabrón, que me decía, yo, jefe, gran nación chichimeca, vengo Guanajuato, yo decir a ti, o diputados para nosotros, o yo no permitir tus elecciones. Cuando te estoy diciendo, tú no vas a decir, se ve que este güey, yo no sé si sea cierto que hable así, cabrón, pero no mames, dio mucho llanero solitario, cabrón, con eso de toro, cabrón, no mames, cabrón, o sea, no mames, no, faltó decir, ¿qué te faltó? Que le faltó decir, yo, gran jefe, toro centavo, líder, gran nación, chichimeca, no mames, cabrón, no mames, cabrón, no, está de pánico, cabrón, no mames, no, pero, o acabamos muy divertidos o acabamos en el psiquiatra de aquí, cabrón, ¿eh?
Nunca acabó en el psiquiatra, este sujeto, acabó como un millonario, se va como millonario, Lorenzo Córdoba, millonario, señoras y señores, tiene un salario millonario y se va con un finiquito millonario después de haberse burlado así de los mexicanos, así como lo está viendo usted en pantalla. Ese señor cuyo padre, sí, tuvo una carrera muy, muy notable como defensor del derecho constitucional, que pues bueno, el hijito, el junior, encontró su vida, desafortunadamente, en las mejores esferas de, de los institutos electorales. Otro junior que terminó así. Mire, obviamente el conservadurismo que él representa, porque ese es el INE en estos momentos, un partido de derecha, pero el conservadurismo que él representa, los medios de comunicación, pues tratan de justificar su cargo con sus doctorados, con sus estudios. Dicen, no, claro, el doctor Lorenzo Córdoba, por supuesto que se merece ese sitio. Pues sí, cómo no. Acaba de escuchar usted al doctor Lorenzo Córdoba, el verdadero doctor Lorenzo Córdoba, hace algunos años. Ese fue el verdadero doctor Lorenzo Córdoba, al que usted le va a dar casi 9 millones de pesos en liquidación. Y le pido al equipo y a don David que nos grabe porque hay más información sobre el Instituto Nacional Electoral. Obviamente, ahora que se vaya a la chingada, el actual consejero presidente, se necesitará otro consejero o consejera presidenta. Y el Comité Técnico de Evaluación de la Cámara de Diputados publicó ya la lista de 46 mujeres y 46 hombres que pasaron a la cuarta etapa del proceso de evaluación para elegir a los próximos integrantes del Consejo General del Instituto Nacional Electoral. En esa lista se incluyó a Berta Alcalde Luján, quien es hermana de la secretaria del Trabajo, Luisa María Alcalde, así como a Netzaí Sandoval, hermano de la extitular de la Función Pública, Irmeréndida Sandoval. Ellos ya pues avanzan en la contienda. Se lo planteamos porque pues en todos los casos, en la mayoría de los casos, los que quedan en este tipo de cargos pues son de la ultraderecha o son de esas esferas del poder. No estoy diciendo que estos personajes no tengan ahí también familiares políticos, se lo estamos comentando, ¿no? pero es de la otra, pues de la otra corriente, ¿no? Es de la acera de enfrente, del otro equipo, pues. Entonces, para algunos esto podría sonar como un cambio, una situación distinta, después de haber tenido consejeros electorales de la ultraderecha como Ugalde, ¿no? Como el calderonista Luis Carlos Ugalde, como el tipejo este también, ¿no? Que hasta participa en marchas, José Woldenberg, o como el racista y clasista del doctor Lorenzo Córdoba, pues a lo mejor podría haber alguien del equipo contrario. Que, insisto, si de pronto llegara a la presidencia del Instituto Nacional Electoral Berta Alcalde Luján, que es evidentemente de izquierda, o Netzaí Sandoval, que es evidentemente de izquierda, en el momento en el que lleguen a esa presidencia, se tienen que quitar el sombrero de la izquierda, el gorro así, lo tienen que aventar por ahí. Y se tienen que convertir en verdaderos árbitros electorales sin miramientos. Como seres humanos, por supuesto que somos animales políticos y podemos tener nuestras ideologías, pero cuando lleguen a esa presidencia tienen que ser íntegros, íntegras, imparciales. Ahí sí, en cualquier otro empleo te podemos ser subjetivos y lo que usted quiera, no. En el Instituto Nacional Electoral, los consejeros, específicamente el consejero presidente o la consejera presidente, tienen que ser absolutamente imparciales y quitarse la gorra de su ideología. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Bueno, le pido a don David que nos grabe en este tumulto de narrativas, de cambios, de situaciones interesantes, no solamente para México, sino para el mundo, Sin Censura continúa haciendo una serie de entrevistas a los cónsules de México aquí en los Estados Unidos. Usted lo sabe perfectamente, nos enfrentamos a una nueva campaña de desprestigio por parte de políticos republicanos y también demócratas. Ayer un señor que a lo mejor se metía apenas a nuestros chats decía, ay, es que ese Toño nunca habla de los demócratas. Claro que sí, aquí una y otra vez yo les he dicho, esa es mi tesis, ¿no? Que no, o sea, mi tesis no de que yo haya escrito esa tesis, como en estricto sentido el concepto de la palabra tesis. Esa es mi idea, ese es mi planteamiento, que el Partido Republicano, el Partido Demócrata no son de derecha, ¿no? Obviamente. Y pues muchas veces nos ha quedado muy mal en cuanto a lo liberales que podrían resultar en el Partido Demócrata. Pues ahí tiene a Bob Menéndez también exigiendo que las manos de Estados Unidos toquen a México, que pues exista una situación muy, muy lamentable como la que proponen el representante Dan Crenshaw y el senador Lindsey Graham. Quieren tener botas estadounidenses en México, dizque para combatir al crimen organizado. Bueno, eso es lo que dicen ellos, ¿no? Es una ridiculez, lo que quieren son votos y se quieren, pues, se quieren dejar llevar de esta idea para que la gente que ve muchas películas, que ha visto mucho Rambo, que ha jugado Call of Duty, diga, ay, sí, sí, vamos a ayudar a los mexicanos con los muy respetuosos de los derechos fundamentales infantes de Marina de Estados Unidos, ¿no? Bueno, ayer hicimos un pequeño esfuerzo para viajar de entrada por salida a Denver, Colorado. Una ciudad llena de contrastes, en un estado que en algún momento le perteneció a México. Fíjese lo que son las cosas, pero que perdió México tras una invasión de los Estados Unidos y como le arrebataron más de la mitad de su territorio. Ese Colorado en el que se estima que hay casi 1,000,000, más, no casi, más de 1,200,000 mexicanos radicando específicamente en esa ciudad, en Denver. Y ahí el cónsul Pavel Meléndez, según el testimonio de varios amigos inmigrantes, ha abierto las puertas del consulado. Nos interesó muchísimo saber sobre eso y por eso es que fuimos a entrevistarlo. Tenía un catarro de esos buenos. Yo en principio íbamos a irnos ahí a varios sitios de ahí de Colorado, pero tuve que ir a su casa, puesto que estaba muy, muy enfermo y aún así nos atendió con el catarro que tenía. Esta es solamente una parte de la entrevista que le hicimos a Pavel Meléndez, cónsul de México, ahí en Denver, Colorado.
Una directriz en estos momentos, hay una instrucción para que exista protección para nosotros los mexicanos acá en los Estados Unidos, para la defensa también de nuestro país, ante el embate de varios politiqueros que, como siempre, nos utilizan como moneda de cambio los mexicanos, y que muy cercano a las elecciones sacan propuestas verdaderamente estúpidas como una invasión a México. ¿Qué fue lo que le pidió el canciller Marcelo Ebrard para esta protección a los mexicanos que viven aquí en Denver, en las zonas aledañas, y para la defensa en México?
Yo creo que lo más importante es seguir en la ruta que nos habíamos marcado ya en el consulado de Denver, informando al pueblo de México sobre nuestras actividades, primero de los servicios que otorga el consulado como tal, y luego porque, por ejemplo, no saben que tenemos asesorías gratuitas, migratorias, que tenemos abogados consulares gratis en materia penal, en materia civil.
Good morning, everybody. Buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Estamos por iniciar. Ya están en vivo. Desde Tabasco, el día de hoy vamos a estar transmitiendo desde Tabasco.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, he says. Good morning.
Bueno, pues,
So,
siempre,
as you know, as always, we are now in Tabasco, in our land, in our waters, under Ceiba, in front of this tree, sacred tree from the Mayas, that represented fertility of the land and the maintainer of the sky. We are really happy to be in Tabasco. We finished our security reunion. It's going to be informed this morning of how the security situation is in the States. We're also going to undertake a visiting to the refinery of Dos Bocas, because it's now on its reintegration phase, and it's coming in to be tested, start producing, and so start producing fuel by the middle of this year. And I'm going to have as well to evaluate the modernization and rehabilitation works of Salina Cruz. We'll be back in late afternoon to Mexico City, because tomorrow, of course, as you know, we're going to be reminding that historical decision to everyone, patriotic, of General Lázaro Cárdenas. We're going to be congregating in El Zócalo, Mexico City, tomorrow at 5 p.m. to commemorate one more anniversary of the oil expropriation. I invite everybody to participate tomorrow in Mexico City's Zócalo. And as we always do it, we'd be very happy to count with the backup of Carlos Merino. We've been working quite a bit, and it's really asserted that he was chosen to substitute Don Augusto López Hernández as governor, that he's helped me a lot as Secretary of Government. And so, if it's okay with you, we'll start with Carlos Merino, Governor of Tabasco, and General Secretary Luis Crescencio Sandoval will inform about the security situation in the States, and finishing up, we'll open up for questions and answers. Very good. A very good morning to everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Mr. López Obrador, it's always a great happiness to have you here with us, where Mother Nature shows us its richness, as the great poet Carlos Felicer would say, and with the warmth of tropical warmth gives us a lot as well. I want to say hello to the Secretary of Security, Don Augusto, Public Security, Rosa Isela, and Secretary of National Defense, General Sandoval, and Mr. Admiral, Secretary of Marina, Ojeda Duran. Thank you. Thank you to the subsecretaries and thank you all. So just a few minutes ago, we had the reunion of the Security Cabinet, where we saw the results in particularly what we've reached in the states, and we managed to reiterate that Tabasco, it's still at a downfall in insecurity compared to the situation of 2018. Tabasco is currently in the number 15 place, when in 2018 it was at a high in high rate crimes, and in coordination with the armed forces and doing the municipalities, having them work with us. I thank you very much, Mr. President, for the backup of the armed forces, where we have great communication and coordination. And up next, we're going to be coming with you to the refinery, emblematic refinery, to check and supervise the works. And we're going to be next with you, and this year it's going to be producing with 173,000 barrels right now, but it's going to go to its top capacity at almost 400,000 barrels per day. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much. That was the governor of Tabasco. Next, we're going to see the situation of security in the state of Tabasco. As we can see in the chart, the state has 2.4 million inhabitants, and the municipalities, and it concentrates half of its population, 2.4 million people. And what we could see in the chart up next is to verify that in this section where the biggest part of inhabitants are present, the security forces taking care of the delinquency. When it comes to crime, what we can see here is that our kidnappings, home burglaries, car thieves, and everything is going on a downfall. In the robbery of transportation, it keeps on the same condition, but they have the 23 and 28 at national levels. And from these, when it comes to kidnappings, in January they had only one case of this nature. January, of course, being the information that we have up to date from the Executive Secretary of the National System of National Security. These, of course, are the registry that we have all throughout the country. So in January, only one kidnapping, and it is at the 5th place, and tendency is going down low. You can see how from the 2018 they had a moment of a lot of presence with this type of delinquency, 103 kidnappings, and gradually started going down. And we've managed to get this under control. When it comes to home burglaries, there was, you can see, 2023 we're at 93 annually. And on extortion, it's the 3rd place. There was 8 cases in extortion and tendency heading down. In homicides, we are at 15th place nationally with 21 cases since January, and tendency at a low. The robbery of vehicles, we have the 21st place, and same accumulated at a downfall. Public transportation robbery, it's not going, we didn't have anything since January, and you can see the human trafficking section, there was none this year. They're at 28th place. And we can observe as well how on the 18 there was a tendency of great numbers with 18. And we can see total change. In high impact delinquency, there was 1,377 this year at a 12th place, tendency at a downfall. When it comes to homicides, from January of this year, Tabasco is at the 22nd place nationally, when the national average is 3,673. And on these homicides per every 100,000 inhabitants, Tabasco is at 15th place with 76 homicides, and being at 112 the average. When narco or selling of narcotics and the robbery of vehicles, there you have 73% of these 13 delinquencies, Comalcalco, Cárdenas, Guamillo, coincide with a high rate of population, but we can see that there are security force presence on those states to keep it low. When it comes to the state police, they have more than 6,000 members, and 4,000 of them that are working on the field. Operatives, almost 4,000, for a total of 8,000 in total throughout the state. And we can see that in the municipalities where these forces have their highest presence are different locations here. The state includes a lot of cameras, 600 of them, where we are with the capability to do our activities, developing and tend to the cases where there are delinquency happening. It's really important that the state has a rise in the members of security there. When it comes to federal armed forces, we got 2,000 from the Army, almost 500 of Marines, and 1,800 for a total of more than 5,000 operatives that coordinate with public security members, total of 13,755. statewide, working coordinately within the regional coordinations where this state is divided, coordination with the Guardia Nacional or National Guard that we're working together with. And when it comes to construction of the companies of National Guard, the state considers 9 installations that they will have at the end of this year, and on them, 3 of the 2021 project in Cárdenas, Macuspana, and Teapa, and the 2022 project, there's 3 others, Centro, Tenosique, Huamanguillo, that are processes. As you can see, the percentages. In this year, we have Jalapa with 1 location that will be starting that. We had some problems with documentation of the land, but with the backing of the states, this has been possible. As well, there's 2 installations that are proposed to the National Guard right here on the 37th Battalion of Infantry to be in a total of 9 locations this year. When it comes to assignations to federal resources and state resources in security, in the funds that we have, 300.11 million pesos for a total of almost 5.7 million. And when it comes to a coordinated effort, and we've managed, when it comes to illegal drugs, more than 1,800 kilograms of cocaine seized, methamphetamines, 112 kilos, and more than 1,200 members detained of criminal activities. There are weapons, grenades, 2.2 million in cash, and $1.7 million as well. We've also recuperated 6.9 million in combustible, liters in combustible fuel. And when it comes to the armed forces, Federal Armed Forces, they participated in 414 events and many other activities. And when it comes to the air power and the illegal use of airplanes to move around with narcotics, there's been a total of 9 situations that we've had, 5 of them being positive with seizures and detainings, with 1 vehicle as well. And when it comes to the DN3 plan of the National and the Marines, National Guard and Marines, there's been 111 situations that we've worked on. We've tended to rains, hurricanes, cold waves, vehicle accidents, institutions, and spills, chemical situations. Well, and as you can see, it's really good. The results are really good when it comes to security. And this we would need to add, first of all, that Tabasco came from El Letargo, where it was at, and that it was in for decades. And last year, was the state of biggest growth in economical realm, and with more generated employments. And so we can see an advancements. Second is that in Tabasco, the well-being programs are arriving at 90% of the homes in the state. We've got more than 600,000 living quarters, almost 700,000 homes, and we're getting up to over 500,000 more. Even with just one program, we are benefiting a lot, more than 1 million. And this, of course, we are doing nationally speaking, and it's not only Tabasco. We're getting to the people of Mexico in the north, in Bajío, center, south, southeast, in the peninsula of Yucatan, everywhere. We are everywhere, and we're doing good. Yesterday, of course, there was a participation on my part of the National Banking Convention, and I was mentioning to them that in the financial sector, that we have a record of workers subscribed to the Social Security, 21,700,040 in the formal realm. And we also have a record when it comes to salaries. Those workers have a average salary of 16,000 per month. We also have a record on increment to minimum salary, 90%, since we've been here in the government. Record in public investments. This year, there are more than 1 billion Mexican pesos destined to infrastructure in the country. Record as well when it comes to the attention of the poor people. This year, for example, more than 600,000 million pesos for 25 million people benefited with the state programming that we have. Record as well when it comes to of incoming monies that our people in the U.S. sent last year, for example, 58,500 more than $58 million, and according to this year numbers, we're gonna go over the $60 million line. Also, we're going to have a record when it comes to reserves of the Bank of Mexico, $200,000 million in reserve. I was telling you yesterday, I was telling the bankers we have a record in utilities of the banks. Last year, for example, they had utilities of up to 240,000 million Mexican pesos. Those are the highest numbers in utility that we've had since we've had register. And just in case we were missing something, the Mexican peso is the money or the currency in the world that has better fortified itself. Mexican peso being the one that has more gained terrain against the dollar, or in comparison to the dollar. This, of course, didn't happen in our country since more than 50 years ago.
En lo económico, en lo que tiene que ver con el bienestar de nuestro pueblo. Yo estoy seguro que ahora que se den a conocer los datos.
So we're doing good. And now that the money information against the income and expenditure of the Mexican families, we're going to be able to prove that there's less poverty in our country when it comes to security. As you can see, in the country, of course, tendency is to minimize the delinquency acts and situations in general. Some are higher than others, but the tendency is going down. When it comes to delinquency in the federal realm, we're looking good, and I hope that that is how we're going to close this year out. And the next one, when my presidency ends, so then I wanted to do this overall on our advancements, the summary. All right, so let's start with the questioning. Good morning, Mr. President, governors, secretaries. Mr. President, taking advantage of the fact that the meeting that was taking place yesterday, public servant, the INE president and Lorenzo Córdoba, their final payments, they said they were going to get 1 million in in their final pay. They were going to get about 1 million, but they ended up getting 9 million. How is it that a public function member comes out of this type of compensation for working in the government and a decentralized, autonomous type of office? Well, how is it that they're getting so much? Well, this is, the president is saying that this is one of the things we need to fix from here on in. We tried it. Even so, those high-rated salaries, the benefits, that they actually offend with this salaries and settlements. We don't see that in the executive anymore.
los sueldos, de quitar todas esas prestaciones, esos privilegios.
We managed to be able to take away all that on other locations. But nevertheless, in the judicial power and the supposed autonomous organisms, they kept on. The high-rated benefits and salaries, because they got a
que los amparara el Poder Judicial, porque también el Poder Judicial, jueces, magistrados, ministros,
they got a pardon type say because the ministers didn't respect the Constitution. The 127th article that establishes that no functionary, public function member can earn more than the president, Mexican president. And so they've received their pardons, or they went around it, creating subsidiaries, and at the end they kept these privileges. What does this mean? They created these trust funds. It means that they have a savings package, special savings package. That's what existed. In the government before. I've explained it before, but it's really important for people to know if anybody earned 300,000 pesos a month, they would leave as a compensation package 30,000. And the government, of the funds from the people, would give another 30,000. So per month, you had a 60,000 peso savings. When they retire, in this case, for example, they take everything that they saved, supposedly, that we're talking about millions of Mexican pesos. To maintain that level of compensation, it used to cost in 2018 6,000 million pesos, even though it doesn't apply to the Mexican executives now. It kept being utilized, this resource, in the judicial power and in institutions of autonomy realm. And so that's why they're getting their severance package. They can say it's legal. They can say it's legal, of course, even with their...
Pero sin duda es inmoral. Puede ser legal, pero es
protection that they're getting, but it's illegal, immorally speaking.
Por eso se oponen a los cambios, a la transformación. Y lo peor de todo es que engañan.
And the worst part of it all is that they lie to a lot of people.
Con la
with the consignment that the INE is untouchable because supposedly you're fighting against democracy. When you have nothing to do with combating corruption, with the finishing of privileges, that has to do with oligarchies, not democracy. They have to be purchasing, they have to be buying, paying off to the people that are working for them, or that the people that are working for. So there's a lot of people that are being lied to, and they're really hypocritical about it. These conservatives, fortunately, they're losing now strength, credibility, and people slowly, they're more conscientious of the fact that they need to undertake these changes. That's what President Juarez used to say. Public worker needs to learn how to work in a middle line. There can't be a rich government with the poor people. That's why it's an ethical situation. Austerity is not about a administration situation. It's of principles. A person that earns 300, 400, 600,000 per month in a country where there's a lot of poverty is nothing more than it's an immoral situation. A person that is not humanized, and they can dedicate themselves to quite a lot of other things. It's legal, legitimate, to obtain utilities and that you save money, but not in the public service. This is to take care of everybody else, backing everybody else, serving everybody else. It's to serve, not to be served. They want to make money. Well, go sell to the companies, to any economical activity, but not be stealing, not to abuse of their public positions. The budget is for the people, not for the workers. But that's ending. And there's going to be more reforms coming in. Constitutional, legal reforms. Up to when we can finish with all these privileges. Yes, there's going to be a electoral reform. Yes, we need an electoral reform, constitutional reform on that, because that's why we need to vote. Not only for the candidate to the presidencies, but we need to vote for legislators, because it's not enough to have the majority, simple majority. There's need to be a qualified majority to reform the Constitution. And so there can be an undertaking of the reforms that we still need to work on. We've advanced on it. We managed to do the National Guard. That was a constitutional reform. We managed to get corruption. That is a great crime. That wasn't there before. We managed to get the revoking of the presidencies in the case that every 3 years you can have a survey done and ask the people if they want the president to continue or that they can have them renounced. That was an advancement. Now that we have the president doesn't have power, so that president can be judged just like anybody else. They don't have any protection now. And now that there is no allowance of taxing, like the business owners, bankers didn't pay any interest, any taxes, and that has been prohibited on the 28th article of the Constitution. And something else, something that is really more important, and I would say the most important thing, was the reform to the fourth article, so that the programs such as the pension to the elderly, the pension to disability, the scholarships to the students of poor families, the right to health care, that are constitutionally elevated. They're not just programs, they're rights now. And we managed to get in a part of the Constitution. It's established that for these programs, every year there has to be more budget for this, in a way that whomever is in the presidency will continue that program to the elderly and all the well-being programs that are now established as a right in the Constitution. It's really important, and I need to repeat it, that it's known that the conservative parties, the biggest one of them, voted against this reform. So they better not even be dreaming of coming back into power for their places that they had, because it's so much that they're against the people that they don't even have a bit of consideration with the humble people, with the poorest, with the most vulnerable. They are really the worst of the egocentric, classist, racists. They despise the people. Therefore, there's no future there. Just a few days ago, there was an uncovering of another of the candidates of the conservative bloc, one from Coparmex, Gustavo de Hoyos. It has those characteristics. That one despises the people, the poor. Just imagine the monarchistic thinking and non-republican he went to tell on me with the King of Spain. As our paisan Chicoche. Oh, what a look how I'm trembling because he went to tell on me with the King of Spain, but it's another one of them. We're going to go over the list here soon because it's growing. Governor of Chihuahua and others. I was while I was presenting the governor of Coahuila, well, I've uncovered another one. It's in style to uncover. But anyway, so I want to take advantage that we are in Tabasco, in the Eden of the country, to let everybody know that in 2018 there was a change in the southeast. With your arrival, the southeast became nationally power. They came into power in honor to many Tabascan people like Pino Suarez, Enrique González Pereiro, Maria Viral. I would ask you, Mr. President, if you consider that after your presidency, would there be people coming in from Tabasco to different areas, among them Presidency of the Republic? Do you think that this possibility can exist? Well, I think that it's the moment, it's the time of the Southeast, without a doubt. It's been pushed, the development of the Southeast, of course, as ever before, because the Southeast would provide a lot of resources to the nation. You get oil from the Southeast. We've been getting that for a long time. It's a leverage for the development of the country, and I've always said it. For decades, the public budgets was integrated with income provided by the oil industry, and we had oil in Tabasco, Campeche. There was about 2 decades where 95% of all the oil extracted was from Chiapas, Campeche, and Tabasco. And what did we get back? And what did they leave? Contamination. Back then, that's when there was more unemployment in Tabasco. People had to move out and find other ways of living, to Cancun, for example. And a lot of people to the north frontier, to the U.S., when petroleum was being extracted, of course, in abundance. Now, it's different.
Se le está devolviendo al sureste lo mucho que ha aportado a la nación. El Tren Maya, todo lo que tiene que ver con la explotación del petróleo, la refinería, los gasoductos, la rehabilitación, mejora de puertos, el transísmico. Todo tiene que ver con el impulso del sureste. Y hay algo que
everything coming from the southeast, of course. And what I need to let people know that our people, our grandchildren, are going to be able to live
sitio en una región que va a seguir siendo un paraíso.
That this nation needs to become a paradise, because what we're contemplating is
de que Tabasco,
Chiapas, Campeche, and Yucatán and Quintana Roo
puedan vivir de sus recursos naturales, de la ecología, porque la selva tropical, la flora, la fauna del sureste es única. Estamos hablando de la segunda reserva natural más importante del mundo.
We're looking at the most important reserve after the Amazon.
Pero además es la zona, la región de México.
The region of Mexico, in this zone, was the great cultures, the great civilizations where they flourished.
La cultura madre, la cultura olmeca y posteriormente la gran cultura maya. Entonces,
and especially the great Aztecan cultures and Mayan cultures flourished in the southeast. So we're rescuing all this past.
Cultural, artístico, y por eso el Tren Maya.
And that's why Train Maya will mean
que visiten Chiapas, que visiten Campeche, Yucatán,
Quintana Roo could be visited by millions of tourists as never before. And what we're thinking is the substitution of the activities
económicas, la reconversión, el pasar de la extracción del petróleo a actividades como,
and we're going to be doing activities such as ecological tourism and cultural tourism. There's countries in Europe that live of tourism.
Si logramos que los 30 millones de turistas que llegan a Cancún se internen hasta Tabasco, eso significa una derrama económica, es crecimiento, es bienestar.
When it comes to development, well-being, I see it that way.
Tenemos algo también excepcional.
It's very exceptional.
Así como nos dio el petróleo, nos dio el agua.
Just how God gave us water, we got petroleum. And if you analyze the situation,
van a encontrarse de que ya en el centro, sobre todo en el norte, ya no hay aguas subterráneas, superficiales. Hay lo que se llama estrés.
There's superficial water, there's hydraulic stress.
Entonces, ya no se puede
hydrostress, so we can't continue flourishing. In the economical realm, we need to take care of the aquifers in the north, but we can't be thinking that the center is going to be growing, the Bajío, because there's not enough water.
Se cuenta con el 70% del agua
In the southeast, we got 70% of the water. That's a resource. We got aquifers in the southeast of Tabasco. And as I said, in Tabasco they got water as in the sky. We just need to take care of there's no overboarding, that there's no inundations. That's why we're taking care of the rivers.
De que no se padezca de huracanes y que si se tienen que dar estos fenómenos naturales, pues que se proteja a la población. Pero estoy viendo así. Antes se decía, cuando se firmó el primer tratado comercial con Estados Unidos, una vez fui a Washington y un funcionario me dijo, viendo un mapa, ¿no tienes un mapa de América del Norte?
Don't you have a map of North America we can probably show?
Me dijo ese funcionario, me acuerdo, allá por los 90, que lo del tratado consistía en que México lo iban a
Mexico
destinar a producir.
They were going to destine Mexico to produce. And I'm sorry I'm taking forever to translate. I am in a quick, small argument with somebody here that is on another channel, basically talking senselessly. So we're trying to argue.
México para producir. Estados Unidos para consumir.
The U.S.
y Canadá para descansar.
To consume and Canada to rest.
Súbele. Sí, así, para ver México completo. El sureste para
Southeast
disfrutar.
To enjoy, right? The rest to produce, consume, and Canada, with all due respect, to ski.
Quedamos aquí.
Buenos días, presidente. Hans Salazar de
Good morning, Mr. President. Hans Salazar. Just to ask you, Mr. President, unfortunately, yesterday, of course, we found out about a situation with the violence called bullying amongst students. And it was an adolescent that practically got attacked, suffered a hit on her head, and this was in Estado de Mexico, Teotihuacan. There's video, images, very sad images, and the things that happen and that is allowed, and that the students, instead of intervening passively, they just are observing, videotaping. And I think that everything that we've been losing in a lot of places. We also have the oligo, this theme about this student that was violated and attacked in Nuevo León. He put out a claim supposedly in this university due to this type of thing where when you come in, there's an aggressive act against the person that is going towards some certain faculties or careers. Nevertheless, the student needs and wants to keep on this because the Nuevo León district attorney, there's no solution on it, and this young person is really scared because there's still the intimidation going on. And I'm putting these two cases obviously to ask you about what do you think, can we reinforce the situation, what happens with the directors of the locations, would there be a special program about that? Because the situation is that it's not just about young people level, it comes to the universities, students, and they don't want to accept and recognize that there's internal violence, sexual attacks, mainly to women, students, and this has been permanently. I don't want to say that it's been growing permanently, but they're there. And I want to ask you about the state of Mexico, state of Nuevo León, if there's any follow-up that can be done. He went to human rights in the state, but they're just giving him the runaround, and if it happens again, that's when it's lamented in the case of this adolescent in Estado de Mexico that perished. Well, I sustain that
fortalecer los valores culturales, morales, espirituales, y que México
cultural
tiene una gran reserva de valores.
Values, moral values is what Mexico needs and has. It's really important.
Y es muy importante que no abandonemos.
And it's really important that we don't abandon our customs, our traditions, that we don't accept that the modern changes that the ideas now
conservadoras o son anacrónicos, que ahora la buena onda
they're anachronical,
es el
anachronistic way of things being overdone, the excesses and these places. All this needs to be revised because if we've gotten a new public politics, new styles of life, of living, but not necessarily, and they're the most convenient for a better. We need to fortify coexistence, We need to fortify culture, family, integration of family,
el amor al prójimo, el insistir hasta el cansancio,
love one another, and to insist until we get tired that being good, we can be happy, that happiness is not materialistic, it's not the expensive clothes,
no es el dinero, no es el lujo barato. La felicidad es estar bien con uno mismo, estar bien
the happiness
con
to
nuestra conciencia, estar bien con el prójimo. Y eso
be okay with your own conscience, to be okay with your
lo
neighbor.
tenemos
That we have.
en nuestras familias, en las comunidades, en los pueblos. Eso es lo que hay que exaltar, porque eso viene de lejos, viene del México profundo. Por eso, a pesar de
And that's why,
pandemias y de inundaciones y de
due to
temblores,
pandemic situations and earthquakes
malos
and
gobiernos,
inundations and bad governments,
México siempre
Mexico always triumphed.
lo que más nos ha protegido,
Sorry,
lo que más nos ha ayudado
Mexico triumphed.
son nuestras culturas.
What's
Ese
been mostly helpful is our
México
culture.
profundo
The deep
nos ha
Mexico.
aportado muchísimo, porque nos ha dado una forma de ser, una forma de convivir muy fraterna.
Very fraternizing way of working is what we need to do. There are situations, for example, that are not taken.
Pero con el neoliberalismo creció muchísimo la desintegración familiar. No me quiero meter en esto porque me van a ver conservador, y sí puedo ser cualquier otra cosa menos conservador. Pero
I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to.
hubo mucha desintegración de la familia.
But there was a lot of disintegration of the
Hay
families.
que reforzar esos valores. Hay que atender
But we need to
más,
reinforce these values. We need to tend
a los hijos. A veces por necesidad trabajan los padres y quedan los hijos solos. En el caso, por ejemplo, de la drogadicción, ahora que se está viendo lo de el fentanilo.
And that about the fentanyl.
¿Por qué nosotros no tenemos el problema que lamentablemente padecen en Estados Unidos? Volvemos a lo mismo, por nuestras culturas. ¿Y dónde tenemos nosotros
And where do we have
mayor
major
consumo
consumption?
de drogas? En algunos estados o ciudades,
In some states
pero no
or
está
countries,
extendido en el país.
but it hasn't been extended in the country.
Por eso tenemos que atender las causas.
So that's why we need to tend to the causes, not only the effects. It's not just let's go
Fentanilo, claro que lo vamos a hacer.
undertake and take over fentanyl. Of course we're going to do it, but what we need to pay attention to is that there are no consumers of fentanyl or any other drug.
Atender las causas. Hablábamos del caso de Guanajuato.
We were speaking about Guanajuato.
Fíjense,
Look at this.
Guanajuato es
Guanajuato
donde padecemos más.
is where we
¿Y cómo? Si es un estado próspero, con crecimiento económico, con empresas, ¿Qué sucedió? Bueno, se descuidaron, hubo problemas de desintegración de las familias, empezaron a llegar las maquiladoras a pagar también muy bajos salarios y a trabajar el hombre, a trabajar la mujer, los padres, los hijos sin atención. El gobierno nunca llevó a la práctica políticas públicas para...
So, I'm sorry, and I'm debating here with somebody, but I'm done. All right. So, suddenly, he says that there's consumption of drugs, and not only the youngsters, but the workers.
Un dirigente empresarial en Guanajuato que de cada 10 trabajadores que les aplican el antidoping, 7 aparecen
7
como consumidores. Gravísimo.
Are imposed as commissions. That you don't see in Tabasco.
No se da en Jalisco, no se da en Sinaloa. Y por lo mismo, ya viendo los efectos, en Guanajuato hay más.
In Guanajuato, for example,
que en Sinaloa,
there's more crimes than in Sinaloa and in Jalisco.
Porque si hay consumo, entonces hay un mercado y se pelean por el mercado las bandas y hay confrontación, hay violencia. Entonces, ¿qué tenemos nosotros que hacer? Primero, atender a los jóvenes, que nadie se quede sin la oportunidad de estudiar, sin la oportunidad de trabajo. ¿Qué otra cosa? Fortalecer valores culturales, morales, espirituales. Procurar que no se desintegren las familias.
To maintain the families.
Todos, como ha sido siempre en las familias, estemos pendientes de los jóvenes.
That we pay attention to the young people and maintain the families.
Y también que los amigos ayuden en la escuela, que todos ayudemos y mucha información.
And a lot of information.
El daño de las drogas. Nada de que es un paraíso. Nada que es una fantasía, un viaje fantástico. Y que eso nos va a hacer feliz. Eso es efímero. Las drogas destruyen.
Drugs destroy.
Entonces,
and so, that's ephemeral. Drugs destroy, and doing all this, that is fundamental, and of course, combat narco-trafficking, but first,
el que se atienda a los jóvenes, se atiendan las causas, porque si esto que estoy exponiendo sobre Guanajuato se extiende a todo el país, no, pues entonces sí sería muy difícil enfrentar el problema. Y yo, con todo respeto, eso es lo que les recomendaría a los gobernantes de Estados Unidos, que atiendan las causas, porque ahora es el fentanilo, pero vamos a suponer de que ya no llega el fentanilo a Estados Unidos de China o ya no llega a México para introducirse a Estados Unidos. ¿Y qué no puede surgir? ¿No pueden crear, como ha sucedido, otra droga química? Claro que sí. Entonces, lo que hay que buscar es que no haya consumo. Y algo está sucediendo si crece el consumo. Hay mucha soledad, no hay felicidad en los jóvenes, no están siendo atendidos, hay mucha desintegración de las familias, hay mucho individualismo, hay falta de amor, de fraternidad, de abrazos, de apapachos, de atención a los jóvenes. Por eso deberían de estar destinando fondos a atender las causas y también difusión del daño que causan las drogas, y también, aunque eso es atender los efectos, combatir las bandas que distribuyen la droga en Estados Unidos y controlar.
So we can control. I'm sorry. All right, I'm back. Hello, Ines. Sorry about that. I was arguing here with somebody, but we're done.
Se atienda las causas, que la gente sea feliz y que no necesite.
So that we tend to the causes and that.
Eso es lo principal.
Presidente, nada más preguntarle concretamente si podrían hacer el acompañamiento a este joven que tiene para.
Rosa Isela va a ayudar.
Sí. Finalmente, presidente, para preguntarle, en Chiapas hay una denuncia sobre que pasó el viernes 27 de enero de este año. Pues hay un padre que denuncia que su hijo fue a recoger la orden de pago de la beca del programa de becas Benito Juárez, media superior, y sin embargo, al dirigirse al Banco Azteca, que fue donde se tenía que recoger el dinero, se tardaron en llegar unos 40 minutos en el trayecto, y cuando llegaron, pues le dijeron que ya habían recogido, que ya había sido cobrado. No es el único caso, de hecho hay varios casos y está creciendo esto. Presidente, yo quisiera preguntarle si se pudiera atender esto, ojalá nada más esté focalizado en este lugar, y obviamente qué es lo que está sucediendo al respecto. Y también preguntar, presidente, sobre, suena que o ya se trascendió la renuncia del coordinador de asesores, Lázaro Cárdenas, preguntarle si es así, y si es así, si ya hay quien sustituya ese cargo, y si lo ve como algún tipo, si es que es verdad, que usted nos diga, con respecto a que mañana es el día de la expropiación petrolera. En muchos sentidos, si se confirma esto o si no, o si es mentira, bueno, pues pudiera ser algún tipo de mensaje, políticamente hablando, por supuesto, previo a el 18 de marzo, día de nuestra expropiación petrolera. Presidente, le agradezco mucho. Con estas dos preguntas le agradezco.
Atendemos lo del joven, lo vemos. Miren, Lázaro va a trabajar en la CELAC. Ustedes saben que existe una organización de países de América Latina y del Caribe que estamos fortaleciendo. Y ahora que se renovó,
now that we're fortifying the coordination, and now the president from presidency falls in El Caribe, in San Vicente, the new president there asked everybody to
buscar establecer una especie de secretariado,
some type of secretary, permanent secretary of the CELAC, because it's happening from country to country.
Estuvo en México, luego en Argentina, ahora en San Vicente, y va a pasar a otro país. Sin embargo, no existe
regardless of everything, there's no permanent organism that gives follow-up to all the agreements, all the decisions that we undertake conjointly. Now, I'm commenting that we're going to have a virtual reunion.
Entonces, nos plantearon esto, porque Lázaro tiene consenso en la mayoría de los gobiernos de la CELAC. Desde luego, una muy buena relación con nosotros, pero también con Lula. Son amigos.
Also with Lula, we're friends.
Cárdenas, Lula, Alberto Fernández. Bueno, Petro de Colombia.
Petro from Colombia, for example.
La señora Xiomara.
Ms. Xiomara.
Miguel Díaz-Canel. Bueno,
Miguel Díaz-Canel, Lázaro's wife.
De Cuba.
From Cuba.
En fin, a eso se va a dedicar.
To those we're been dedicated to. And we are maintaining a lot of relations, and it's also helpful because
lleva toda la relación con países que están apoyándonos para contar con médicos, con especialistas, como es el caso en particular de Cuba, que le agradecemos mucho.
It's in the case of Cuba that we appreciate the government of Cuba, because there's 1,200 specialists, Cuban specialists working in Mexico. And the plan that we have to guarantee the right of health, medical attention, specialists, and medication, free medication.
Eso lo vamos a dejar listo este año. Ya hemos avanzado en 15 estados y
we've advanced in 15 states, but a problem that we have is the lack of medical specialists. We've resolved the supply of medication. I want to say that it's really
admiro lo que hizo el general Cárdenas.
I admire what General Cárdenas did. I have preference for 3 presidents. Benito Juárez. Then now we're going to be in Guelatao on the...
Lo considero el mejor presidente de México de la historia. Tengo también mucha admiración, mucho respeto.
There's great admiration and a lot of respect
por Francisco y Madero, el apóstol de la democracia, por su bondad, por su limpieza, por ser un hombre
for being a reasonable man,
auténticamente democrático. No ha habido en México un presidente con más vocación democrática que Madero.
With more democratical formation than Madero.
Admiro y respeto.
And I admire General Cárdenas because there hasn't been any president with so much love to the people, above all the humble people, such as General Cárdenas did. And so, We have a lot of respect to Ingeniero Cárdenas. And aside from what his dad was, he started this fight, this movement, in Tabasco, in the indigenous people in Cajuca, and so in the rest of the country. He started this.
Y yo me adherí a ese movimiento por el ingeniero Cárdenas.
And I added myself because of General Cárdenas. Ever since 88, and he started before that with the democratical wave a year before. I was candidate to the governor for the Democratic Front, National Democratic Front, in 88 in Tabasco. Presidential elections were in July, and Tabasco they were in November.
Respeto mucho, es precursor de este movimiento. Y Lázaro.
And Lázaro was the precursor. He was the first place. Professional. With principles.
Muy definido.
Very defined, politically speaking.
Entonces, aprovecho para aclarar eso.
I'll take advantage.
Mande, a ver.
Couldn't hear the question, so yeah, but that we can't discard because he's going to keep going, doing his politics. It's part of the people that are going to be substituting us. When I'm speaking about the relief, general relief, generational relief. Now that I turn in my presidency, then I'll go to Palenque. And I'll go calmly to rest, read, write, speak with the trees and the birds, guacamayas, and not come back and speak about politics, nor be wanting to do or give any consultation. I'm not a moral leader. I'm not a well, for then, I won't be a moral leader or a butt kisser, kind of. And I'm happy because there's generational relief. The movement will continue. And no one is unsubstitutable. And let's not fall into its a necessity. Let's not be too close to the power and money. And understand that power only has meaning and it's a virtue when it's turned into and given to the service of everybody else. So let's keep going. And Lázaro has possibility. Marcelo Ebrard has possibilities.
Tiene posibilidad Claudia Sheinbaum. Miren quién tiene posibilidad, uno que tengo aquí cerca. También todos.
Everybody. I think that there's very good leaders out there. It would be really sad, it would be really worrisome that my presidency ends and that there wouldn't be substitution. But there are very good, better. There are better people to take on. That's why I'll go to Res and Pozol, Mico, Oreja de Mico, and I'll go. And when they go ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? This is happening. What do you think about this? Nothing, cousin, I'll say. That's pending. Yes, we're going to be revising that. I haven't heard it before, but we're going to be revising that with Jesus. Abraham is the one that needs to see this to analyze it. But there's a situation that is good. I just want to inform about this. There are being changes done of the cards, because before the scholarships would be paid, the pensions with banks, commercial banking, about the Bienestar Bank, so they're turning in. The purpose is that everything is being dispersed in the bank, but it takes time, because when this started, if it's about an elderly person that has a pension in the Social Security realm, to that same account, the benefit would get there, the money would get there as the pension, aside from the Social Security pension. So now, it's going to be Banco de Bienestar. But that, of course, is being undertaken as an orderly way, and it won't mean.
Señor presidente, Armando de la Rosa de XCBA, seré un poco breve, pero aprovechando la coyuntura, usted dice ya se va, ya me voy a Palenque, ya no voy a.
You're saying that you're not going to be in the politics, but the people here in Tabasco is just a little bit worried, and we've heard it in XCBA about the tariff 1F, Tarifa 1F. What are you talking about, President says? And they open up the dams. Are you going to leave some decree so that this preference in the tariff is going to be staying like that? First question. And we're going to leave the very protected, the people, not only in Tabasco, but the whole Mexican people. And whom are going to be substituting me, I'm sure that they're going to continue with the same politics and with principles close to the people. But there's going to be a recruit so the tariffs are maintained. If we need to, yes, of course.
la instrucción de que no cambien las cosas. No van a cambiar. Pero si hace falta, un decreto.
But if we need to, there is a decree.
Agencia Superior de la Federación detectó algunas irregularidades en la obra del malecón
And some works of Malecón.
¿Y habrá apoyo para los comerciantes afectados por el cierre de la obra?
Is there going to be
hay un tema que lo manejamos en XBA,
some situations?
Y pues el 85% del personal que labora en las cárceles, pues no
and
tiene
the
sus documentos, su código policial.
people that are working here, is there going to be an investigation for the cops in the jails, or this is going to be reinforced of the controls of trust? Well, that needs to be seen by the state governments. Carlos can tell us about that. And about El Malecón, these are observations that it's being done by the Superior Auditory Federation. Malecón is doing that, and we're doing the compromise. We need to reconstruct the Malecón on this end.
Muy bien, ya está autorizado todo el presupuesto de todas las etapas. He estado pendiente para que no le falte.
I've been pending
Ya se autorizó.
And aware that their budget is not low, and we're going to be supervising the advancements, and of course, above all, take advantage to make a calling to all public servants that have public works in construction to take advantage of the drought season. This applies to Tabasco and to the entire country, because these 3 months it doesn't rain, even with the climate changes that we've had. There's still the drought seasons are very, very major. So now what's left of March, April, May, in works that we're doing, let's work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because you all know how these rains are really heavily, and they fall in these areas, how it rains in the tropics and everywhere here. So we can't do much. Everything is suspended, per se. So these 3 months, let's take advantage of them. Those who are building the dams, Santa Maria, to the engineer Cedri, that I'm here in this town, there's 85% of an advancement, because it's a very professional engineer that is in charge of that dam, to do it in these 3 months with more intensity, so that the dam is done. And the same thing I tell the military engineers that are doing the aqueducts in the Yaqui peoples, doing the irrigation in the Acueducto of Cuchillo Dos, Tren Maya, Transísmico, all the works Let's take advantage of the droughts. With the heats in the tropic, we can work at nights. And we're looking into that there are no insecurity, so we can work at night on these locations, so we can advance more. We're going to be looking into that in the Malecón, supervising. I trust the people that are in charge of it. They're honest people. Two from Tabasco. You're spoiled here. So Rumbo Nuevo Decano of journalism. Sorry, Eduardo Rodríguez de Tabasco. En Cantón, today in our newspaper, we publicized that 93% of the Tabasco people are happy with your presidency. Given that, do you feel that Tabasco has been taken care of by you? And the person in the web was mentioning of a sexual attack in Tabasco, but in that same location, there was 2 teachers that were denounced for sexual assault. This took to one student that was threatened, and the students are still there, but they're not only asking for suspension, but to investigate this, and you've done a call out to values and reconstruction of values. There's another case of a minor that unfortunately the district attorney put in her mother into jail because of homicide. In this case, we noticed that the public attorney, the child was chased by a man that even the kids and the neighbors saw the aggressor, and now the mother is jailed in Comalcalco. Would be the questions, and what would you say towards those public function people, because they're rushing their job? They don't clarify what happened with this mother that worked day and night to feed her children and is now in jail. Yeah, I found out about that case because in the mornings when we have the security cabinet, all these cases come out. And we were in Mexico, I think it was about a week ago, this.
Que acusaron a los padres, sí, y a la mamá. Sí, eso hay que revisarlo. A mí me llamó la atención desde que lo escuché. Vamos a verlo, a que se haga una revisión.
Yeah, we're going to look into that because it called my attention to revise it because the mother has been blamed and the father, I think, also has been blamed for that. So we're going to be looking into it. And to ask the teachers to help us out. They do it. The majority of them, they're like the tutors of these youngsters, students. I've always said that school is second home for the students, for the young people, and those teachers help out a lot. So we got to help so this abuses stop and authorities to punish
violaciones y que no haya impunidad en nada. Eso es lo que yo puedo comentar y felicitar a Telereportaje y a Tabasco Hoy. O sea, hay que equilibrar y desde luego a Rumbo Nuevo, pues sí, es que.
Do you think you've done enough for Tabascan people? Yes, I think so. But we still need to work on this. I still got about 17, 18 months to go. We're going to leave the refinery producing. We're going to be backing up exploration of crude oil.
Eso se va a consolidar. Vamos a mantener todos los programas de bienestar. La pensión a los adultos mayores, el Sembrando Vida, el apoyo a los jóvenes, todo eso va a consolidarse. Obras como el Malecón.
Work such as Malecón.
Espero que a más tardar en diciembre de este año terminemos, inauguremos.
Hopefully that this year.
El Malecón de Villahermosa. También vamos a desarrollar las zonas arqueológicas de Tabasco, sobre todo Reforma.
Above Reforma.
Se va a concluir el Tren Maya, que tiene un buen tramo.
We're going to be concluding Tren Maya that passes through Tabasco. And we're going to be concluding that. We're building the new bridge of Boca del Cerro, and right there we will have a terminal, a station in Boca del Cerro. We're going to keep helping, assisting with the introduction of drinking water or potable water for personal use. We're going to start the new usable water of Villahermosa. When would this start, Mr. President? Yes, Carlos is looking into that. Governor. Because they have to open up, I think, Paseo Sumacinta. And so, we're going to start after the exposition, the governor says. Yeah, we're still waiting on this. And do you know why it's called La Flor? The exposition, even though it started in the times of Porfirio Diaz, Sarlat initiated this, the agriculture exposition, and artisan of Tabasco. Yeah, in about the 19th century, Simón Sarlat, that was when petroleum was discovered, more or less. What is now San Fernando, Macuspana. This was discovered by preacher Manuel Gil y Sainz. Now that I pulled out this aluche, it was a mess, a big, big mess. I remember that the preacher he designs that was in the San Carlos church in Macuspana went to San Carlos, and they would say they told him not to not dare go to the mine of petroleum because that was a thing for the owner of the hill, and he was going to turn into a bunch of salts. And so he dared, the preacher dared to go, and that's how petroleum was found there in Tabasco. Of course, the first petroleum well was started in 1901 in the Alamo, San Luis Potosí. Ébano, I'm sorry.
San Luis Potosí. Entonces, vamos a continuar. Les decía yo, ¿por qué la exposición? Porque, pues aquí no había nada vinculado con la monarquía.
There was nothing vinculated with the monarchy here. That's why there's no party, there's no fair.
No es reina, sino es la flor. Y por eso es exposición.
And that's why there's exposition.
Porque la segunda etapa la impulsa Tomás Garrido Canaval.
And it's pushed by Tomás Garrido Canaval.
Por eso es la flor más bella de Tabasco.
That's why it's the most beautiful flower in Tabasco.
Extraordinaria, la recomiendo a todo el país. ¿Y qué les parece? A ver, don Trino, que en paz descanse.
Yo todavía estoy vivo.
Yes, I'm still alive, he says. Good morning. Luis Enrique Martinez from Rumbo Nuevo. That is 79 years, 80 in the 1st of November. Mr. President, so it's been repeated that Don Augusto will be coming in this park of 27th of February. You are an avid reader of history, a promoter of history, but it turns out that the investment that the federal government made to construct this Centenario Park now has a name of a company. It's not going to be called Parque Centenario of February 27th, but Parque Centenario Orsan, Parque Orsan. So if somebody can explain to us if you're agreeing with this, or that it could be done and now we can rename this park that is called Parque Centenario Corsan, erasing the dates, emblematic dates, not only for Tabasco but of the country. That is 27th of February of 1962. Talking about the sovereignty. We're going to be batting to Gonzalo Medina. We're going to send some information to him so they can deal with it. It has to do, has to be go Centenario 27 de febrero. That's how it's going to be. And he's going to come to inaugurate it, and Olmecas are reinforcing themselves. It's going to be a good timing. And they're going to be playing in El Centenario because last season they played in Cuco Toledo.
Hay mucha afición allá en Macuspana y arreglaron el estadio, pero está mejor el Centenario
But Centenario,
viene a inaugurarlo Adán y ya voy a hablar con Gonzalo.
And I'm going to be speaking with Gonzalo so that
no le cambien el nombre.
The name isn't changed, and surely this, of course, is for publicity stunts, but it could be done in other ways. Do you know that in the 27th of February, Gregorio Méndez and Sánchez Magallanes fronted the movement against the French invasion, right? And Tabasco, of course, was the first state that was liberated from the French intervention. They couldn't do it here. It was fixed on that battle of the 27th of February before the battle of Cinco de Mayo in Puebla. They came in through here and they were expelled because in Tabasco never have there been conservatism. We are liberals or we're radicals, but not conservatives. And that's good. With a lot of pride on that. All right, so let's go have breakfast. A second question, Mr. President. There are 3 Morena party members for the presidency proposed, and the statutes of Morena will be found. I'm going to ask Rosalena does like that. It's going to be as a search there's going to be a historical situation that's going to be repeated, as Lázaro Cárdenas, you referred and talked about that the people didn't choose General Mujica, but Ávila Camacho was chosen. But the historical responsibility of General Lázaro Cárdenas, beginning from that decision, from the point of view of historical views, started going down. Its historical transcendency started diminishing, and now for the 24th, Morena can repeat in the presidency. Maybe it can favor it could be a return and I'm talking about Marcelo Ebrard. Would you assume that historical responsibility so that Marcelo could be the candidate for Morena?
Claro que asumo la responsabilidad histórica, porque la vamos a compartir esa responsabilidad. No voy yo a elegir.
I'm not going to choose. People need to choose. I'm not the great selector. The people are going to be.
Hay que tenerle confianza al pueblo.
We need to trust the people. The people are overage, and the people know what we need, and that's democracy. And so, and whom are going to be participating in the left wing, they're really good prospects. I have a sister, and the people are going to be the ones deciding. And I want Adán. I like him very much. But the citizens are going to be the ones to choose.
Es que el pueblo no es tonto. Con todo respeto, tonto es el que piensa que el pueblo es tonto.
People are not dumb.
La gente sabe, ya en México no hay analfabetismo político.
The people that think the citizens don't know, they're dumb. This is one of the peoples that are more conscientious of the government than any other places. If you think that what we've accomplished in these last times, I would answer the change of mentality,
la revolución de las conciencias, la politización del pueblo,
the politicization of the people. That's why they're bothered. That's why all these politicians, the conservatives, are pissed, because they're the ones of the oligarchy, that it's the government of the minorities, and what is being undertaken in practice in Mexico is a real democracy, and that's the government of the people. So now I know that you like a lot of Adán to come in, but it's going to be people to decide. I love him too, it's like my brother, but it's going to be the people deciding. And don't worry, but whomever stays and gets to the presidency will mean the change. Alright, so they try to ask him another question, but that's it. They're done. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you very much for your time. We've been here, and I'm sorry I was falling into some criticism here in another channel. Gracias, amigas y amigos, por estar con nosotros. Un saludo grandísimo a toda mi gente que nos está escuchando de Milenio, desde Milenio también que están llegando, y también nuestros amigos de Sin Censura Media. Entonces, saludos a todos ustedes que se nos unieron al canal por parte de ellos. Cuídense mucho a toda mi gente hermosa, Inés, Ana, Ede, todas y todos ustedes que siempre están con nosotros. Cuídense mucho, nos vemos el lunes en otra transmisión. No olviden ir a AZTECRON Entertainment para más transmisiones. El día de hoy y mañana, clases de inglés. Clases de inglés en AZTECRON Entertainment. Por favor, métanse a los links que están aquí abajito para que puedan llegar a ese canal también. Saludos a todas y a todos ustedes. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Monday with more López Obrador transmissions. A los que estén en la Ciudad de México, nos vemos mañana en el Zócalo. Vamos a estar en la meeting que se va a hacer por parte del presidente, donde va a hablar acerca de toda la situación con el petróleo del país y qué es lo que se está haciendo para mejorar los precios de las gasolinas y demás. Poco a poco vamos a estar transmitiendo en vivo desde ahí. Gracias, amigas y amigos. Saludos a todos. Nos vemos el lunes aquí en este canal y nos vemos mañana en el Zócalo. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Supervisando